The fantastic thing about the Roman Empire was the amount of text that is available that is relevant still today when it comes to the use of weapons, training, proper tactics, and methods. I'm going to share with you a very relevant paragraph from a great Roman writer talking about how to use a weapon properly and what the overriding principle should be when you use it. Absolutely useful today, especially with a lot of the weapons training that I see people getting. They don't seem to understand some of the basics that are so important. So I'm going to share that with you today. And I'm also going to share a very, very pertinent warning from a Roman scholar who put this out. And something that's so important to me, I got it tattooed on my body. And we'll talk about that more in a minute. I've never had a time in my professional life where Americans have been more concerned about their own self-protection. But first, if you are ready to start putting together your self-protection plan, go to timlarkin.com, give us your email, and we have a free masterclass that allows you to start creating your self-protection plan for you and your family. It's absolutely important, especially with what's been happening just in the last couple of years, that you have your plan in place. So let us help you do that. Also, the information that you get on the masterclass is very straightforward. It's very blunt. It's the graphic when it needs to be. All the things that I can't do here on YouTube. So please take advantage of that at timlarkin.com. Just give us your email. Also, please, I appreciate all the help that you guys have done to help grow the channel that we have. It's been amazing. Yes, we've been squelched a little bit. A lot of you are saying you're not seeing notifications. The way to combat that is please continue to share these videos with your friends. Get them to join, get them to subscribe, get them to hit the notification bell, make comments. It's really important. That's what overcomes all the attempts by big tech to squelch information like this, which makes no sense, but it's the world we live in right now. Okay, so on to the Romans. The first thing we're going to look at is from a very famous tactician, writer, Vegetius. Now, he was towards the end of the Roman Empire, and he is writing really a history here about how the Roman legionnaires were trained. And the reason he was writing all this and recapturing it was because at the time, I think the emperor was Valerian, and I believe that the majority of the armies were made up of foreign soldiers, mercenaries, basically conquered people that they conscripted into the army. So it wasn't the Roman citizen army of old, which had basically conquered the world, using the principles and methods that the legionnaires, so effectively employed to be such an amazing fighting force. Now, one of the things that always caught me years ago when I read this for the first time was this particular um, paragraph. It's called "Not to Cut, but to Thrust with the Sword," and he's talking about the legionnaires, and he says they were likewise taught not to cut, but to thrust with their swords. For Romans not only made jest of those who fought with the edge of that weapon, but also found them an easy conquest. A stroke with the edges, though made with ever so much force, seldom kills, as vital parts of the body are defended by both the bones and armor. On contrary, a stab, though it penetrates but 2 inches, is generally fatal. Besides, in the attitude of striking, it is impossible to avoid exposing the right arm and side. But on the other hand, the body is covered while the thrust is given, and the adversary receives the point before he sees the sword. This was the method of fighting principally used by the Romans, and their reason for exercising recruits with arms of such weight at first that when they came to carry common weapons, which were much lighter, the greater difference might enable them to act with greater security and alacrity in time of action. And what is that whole saying? It's saying, first of all, they just told their soldiers thrusting, penetration, stabbing into the body is the only thing that counts, because they weren't trying to hurt their opponents, they were trying to kill them. And in the phalanxes that they put together, basically these gladiuses, these small swords, would just be coming out and thrusting into their enemies, while their enemies were trying to hack, and use a lot of circular movements that produce cuts in the human body. But the human body is pretty well protected against cuts like that because it's a slower bleed. It's a venous bleed versus an arterial bleed. When you stab into the body, what you're looking for is you're looking to open up arteries, highly vascular organs, things that are going to rapidly bleed out the human body to kill the man, starve the brain of oxygen, kill him. And that was really the attitude today. What's interesting is in a lot of today's trainings, and I've seen a lot of people doing, knife and edged weapons training, um, this seems to be misunderstood. There's a lot of slashing that's being shown. There's a lot of ineffective but flashy looking training. Um, it's very simple and straightforward. I really got an education on this when I started studying the prison gangs and saw how they used edged weapons and tools. They do not slash, they penetrate and multiple times into the body, and they usually target, they get very good at targeting highly vascular organs, highly vascular parts of the human body that will allow this person to rapidly bleed out. Now here it is, thousands of years ago the Romans knew this, and today people that can't get it wrong, like prison gangs who are contracted to use violence and violence as their currency, they are doing the same thing because they understand one kills. I have tons of video of guys that have big meat flaps cut in them, and they were able to kill the person that did that to them. Why? Because it was a venous bleed, and they were able to get medical attention later. It looks ugly, but they survived. Guys getting sliced across the throat. Again, there's many of those guys that have nice little scars, but it didn't kill them. So understanding, just a basic understanding of how to use an edged weapon to your advantage, and that is penetration. So again, not opinion. This is, this is tactics that have been proven, you know, in thousands of years. And the Romans absolutely just created meat grinders that just tore through much bigger, stronger, physically bigger and stronger people, like my ancestors, the Celts, and they just went right through them. Their tactics were superior. One of the tactics that was so effective was understanding this: stabbing versus slashing. Okay, so that's your practical, useful takeaway from a couple thousand years ago with the Romans. Now, I'm going to leave you with the warning. It's a saying that's attributed to Pindar, who was a poet and a bard, basically. And the phrase that's attributed to him is "Dulce bellum inexpertus." Dulce bellum inexpertus is actually, it's hard to see here. I'll get a better picture of this to you guys, but basically I have a skull here with a knife through it, and that is the saying. I thought it was such an important saying that I actually put it on me to constantly remind me of this. The phrase reads, "War is sweet to those who have never experienced it." It's a quote from Pindar, made famous by Erasmus as the title for his meditation on the subject of war. Why does Dulce bellum inexpertus have such a meaning to me? Because I see so many people encouraging violence that have never experienced violence. I see people, the people I know that are the most capable at using lethal force, most capable of protecting themselves and others on the street, are the most cautious in ever using that tool. The ones that aren't, the ones that throw caution to the wind, are the ones that have no experience in using it. They have no idea what they're in for. Everything I do in this channel is really based to make sure that you always remember that. Dulce bellum inexpertus. Only those who've never fought love war. We see it in our politicians today. We see people who are so ready to commit troops, so ready to do it as long as they don't have to do it, because they have no understanding of what it is. In the social world, we're seeing people verbally go after people, not understanding that there could be physical responses and not understanding what that means. They encourage everything until it happens, until the physical plane is crossed. And then all hell breaks loose for these people. So again, you can get great information from the past, and you can also heed some of their warnings. So I hope this was helpful to you. Again, This phrase was so powerful for me, I actually put it on my body to remember it because it's so tempting at times to respond with violence, and you have no idea how it's going to end up. And phrases like this can actually, you know, get tattooed in your brain and save you. So, anyways, I hope this was helpful. Again, to start your self protection plan, go to timlarkin.com, give us your email. And until next time, stay safe.